This one is called Mr. Biddle and the Birds.
Mr. Biddle and the Birds by Lonzo Anderson, illustrated by Adrian Adams. Mr. Biddle lay in his hammock. He watched his 4 bird friends fly in. They were coming to have lunch with him as usual. How big they were, how strong, how beautiful in the air. "I am thinking of flying with you," Mr. Biddle shouted. "It must be wonderful." Crown was the leader of the birds. He landed on the table first. Then, thud, 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 came in the other 3. Adso, Badso, and Charlie. The birds started gobbling the food. Mr. Biddle came to the table. He was very excited. "Don't you hear me?" he asked. "I am thinking of ways to fly with you." He took a piece of paper and a feather pen. He drew a picture. "Look at this sketch," he said, "and see how you like it. Come, you can eat any time, for heaven's sake." The birds looked. "A little boat on poles," Crown said. "A chair in the air," Adso said. "A cradle in the ladle, a porch in the snorch," Badso said. Charlie giggled. "A house in the blouse, a kitchen in the snitchin'." "Oh, shut up," Crown said. "Mr. Biddle, it's a good idea, the little boat, with us carrying it." "Well then," Mr. Biddle said happily, "let's make it." He did not even stop to eat. He started pulling out of the barn all the things that he would need. The birds tried to help with the work at first, but they only got in the way. Adso brought some pieces of string in case Mr. Biddle wished to make a nest. Mr. Biddle said, "Maybe you'd better let me build this myself. There'll be plenty for you to do later." Soon the birds were chasing each other all around the sky, quarreling and screaming like hoodlums. "I wonder," Mr. Biddle said to himself, "am I wasting my time? They can't think of anything but play, fight, and eat, eat, eat." Still, he kept on building the airboat. He added a canvas cover in case of rain. When the job was done, he called in the birds. "It's just great," Crown said. "We can have fun with this." "Good," Mr. Biddle said, pleased as pudding. "But we shall have some corsets made for you before we can work it." "Corsets? What are they?" "They connect you to the poles. Remember the sketch I made? You hook the corsets on and fly away with me in the flying boat. Come to the corset maker. You will see what I mean." Off to the village they all went. They felt silly at the corset maker's shop. Crown said, "I'm not sure I like this, but go ahead." When the corsets were fitted, the birds could not wait. Crown shouted, "Here we go!" and led the way. "No, no," Mr. Biddle cried. "We're not ready yet." And he started running. "We have to think about it and plan ahead." By the time he reached home, the birds had hooked themselves to the poles in any old way. Flap, flap, they worked their powerful wings. Away went the flying boat. Mr. Biddle came gasping for breath and made a dive into it just in time. "Hooray!" Adso screamed. "It's off the ground!" Mr. Biddle hung on. His heart went bang, bang, bang. The birds began to fight. "Get out of my way!" Adso cried, their wings getting all tangled up. "You get out of my way!" Badso bawled. The flying boat bounced and jounced and twisted. "Where do you think you're going?" Crown shouted. They were trying to fly in different directions. "Where do you think you're going?" said Charlie. Mr. Biddle was tumbling out. He barely managed to get back inside. Birds screamed. Such confusion. The flying boat was falling, hurtling towards the earth. "Oh, oh, oh!" Down, down, wings all wrong. Crash! Deep into the forest. Then silence. One by one, the birds pulled themselves free. Mr. Biddle crawled out. "Is everyone all right?" he asked, worried. The birds just looked at him. "Is anyone hurt?" Mr. Biddle asked again. "A lot you care," Badso shouted angrily. The other birds made furious noises. "You nearly killed us." You wanted to fly high through the sky, hitching up birds like horses. We're not meant for that. Mr. Biddle looked at them a minute. Forget it, he said. Flying is no fun. Terrible disappointment. He turned and walked away. He went through the woods toward home and never looked back. The birds stared at each other for a while, too shocked to make a sound. Then they came to life. Flying is no fun. Did you hear that? Why, flying is the only fun there is. What have we done? We didn't have to act that way. We can make this thing work the way he wanted. If we can fix it. Come on, let's try. It doesn't look too bad. They lifted the flying boat down onto level ground. Then they did something they had never done before. They worked and worked and worked. Finally, Adso said, There, good as new. All right, Crown said. Places, everyone. Let's do it right this time. Don't hook on side by side. Leave room for the other fellow to work his wings. Like this. Me in front on the left. Charlie, you a little behind me. On the right, and so on. Good. No fooling around now. Remember, it's for Mr. Biddle. Concentrate. Take off, smooth as a breeze. Up, up. They were delighted with themselves. They flew over Mr. Biddle's house and looked down. He was lying in his hammock. Look up, Mr. Biddle, Adso cried high in the sky. Shh, he's asleep, Crown said. Let's surprise him. Down they went, slanting, sloping, sledding along the wind, down and down. Their great wings made whispers in the air. As they were landing on Mr. Biddle's lawn, something went squeak. Shh, shh. But Mr. Biddle woke up. He jumped out of his hammock. Surprise! The birds shouted together. Mr. Biddle rubbed his eyes. Hop in, Crown said. Let's go for a spin around the sky. Slowly, Mr. Biddle climbed in and sat down. He looked dazed. The birds took off. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. High they climbed up and higher. The whole world lay below, a marvelous view. Still, the flying boat lifted higher, lighter. Mr. Biddle leaned out and spread his arms and smiled and sighed. He said, It is wonderful. I knew it. Thank you, my good friends. The end.